So, episode 10 through 12 of Love is Blind 7 came out this past week, and I'm here to talk about whatever that was. I don't understand a lot of things that have happened, but sure. And now we're going to talk about how basically every relationship is going to dissolve and fall apart, except for two, spoiler. Weird ass season. But yeah, hi, I'm Kendall. You know around here, welcome. Not new around here, what is up, home? Skillet Biscuit. And here on my channel, sometimes I talk about Love is Blind. I have a whole playlist about Love is Blind and the Ultimatum, what I refer to as the Nick and Vanessa Lachey cinematic universe, reality TV universe. And I've been following Love is Blind since it came out, but on this channel since season 3. And I can easily say the weirdest season yet. Like, I don't know who's vetting these people. If there are people vetting these people, I don't know what is going on with filming these days, because it feels like big pivotal moments are happening off screen. So I don't understand the flow of reasoning why any couple feels the way they do, or any person in the couple feels the way they do. Spoiler, basically everyone breaks up before the wedding, which honestly I kind of appreciate. Don't drag it out. Don't bring people to the wedding if you don't think you're gonna get married. But there are certainly people that wait far too long. As far as casting goes, the best people are probably Ashley and Taylor. Marissa is growing on me in these later episodes. I feel like I'm growing more empathy for her. All of the men are pretty bad. The least bad is Nick, and that's just because he seems kind of incompetent, but that's about it. It has some growing up to do, a bit immature, shouldn't be getting married. And then every other guy is just bad. Everyone's bad. The worst is Tyler for hiding 3 kids until the engagement. If you didn't watch my other 2 episodes, you don't know what I'm talking about, but all I'm gonna say is that reunion is gonna go crazy. It's gonna go absolutely insane, because it's gonna have to fill in a bunch of context and arguments that must have happened off screen. Because again, spoiler, relationships just start dropping like flies. Some you can see coming, and others that it's like, what? What happened? So today we're talking about episodes 10 through 12. If you haven't seen my 2 other videos, I will link those below. They're also in my Love is Blind playlist, so check that out. So before I get into this cluster that is the last few episodes, we're gonna send it over to ad roll, Kenny. Thank you. Hello everyone, this is a very congested ad roll, Kenny, to let you know that today's video is sponsored by our friends over at Lumi. Do you stink? Would you like to not? Maybe you should consider a new deodorant. Lumi is the full body deodorant designed to go anywhere on your body where it stank. Whether it be funky pits, cracks, feet, or anything else on your body, Lumi has got you covered. It was invented by an OBGYN, Shannon Klingman, and is clinically proven to block body odor all day and continue controlling that BO for 72 hours. Use it anywhere that gets a little rank. Under your boobs, in your belly button, private parts, butt cracks. The world is your oyster. Lumi products are paraben-free, baking soda-free, skin-safe, pH optimized for your private areas, as well as aluminum free. And let's talk about the aluminum free claim, okay? Because I've tried other aluminum free deodorants, and at the end of the day, you just smell like flowers and onions. But this is actually one that works. They come in 8 delicious scents. Personally, I'm really into the toasted coconut and the tangerine, but I like to put powder or lavender sage on my feet specifically. I don't know why. And powder in the butt crack. You're welcome for my recipe. They come in a bunch of different formats, including sprays, wipes, sticks, creams, body washes. So feel free to use any mix and match combination that you prefer. I like to keep the wipes and like a mini stick deodorant in my purse. That way, if you stank, you can wipe off the stank, and then that already helps. And then you put the little that's also great to keep in your car or in your purse or in your gym bag or something, in your book bag. So if you want to try out Lumi but don't know where to start, feel free to check out their starter pack. It's a great deal for new customers. It allows you to try out a full-size stick deodorant, cream deodorant, tube, or spray, 2 free products like the wipes or the mini body wash, free shipping in the US. Plus, just for my followers specifically, Lumi is offering an extra $5 off when you click on the link down below. Enter the code KennieJD at checkout, and that, my friends, is a 40% savings. You're welcome. Big thanks again to Lumi for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the debauchery. I think before we get started on the episodes, I think we should update the secret baby situation with Tyler. If you were just watching the show, you'd be very confused and maybe not quite aware how bad the Tyler situation is, because during the show, he greatly misrepresents his place in the lives of those children. But if you look online, you can fill in some of those blanks. So in the last episode, I talked about some of the confirmations of sorts that were happening with the mother of the children's ex-wife. And since then, the mother of the children have decided to make a few short videos confirming some things, clarifying some things. And Tyler already looked terrible, but to confirm some of these things, he's literally a scary person to me. To be able to lie this much to that nice lady's face over and over and over again, that sucks ass. So the mother came in and clarified that the first child was a sperm donation from Tyler to the mother as well as her now ex-wife. They end up getting separated and plan to co-parent the child. But the two children, the set of twins that would happen after that, were conceived naturally and on accident. This is something that's very awkward for the mother because she identifies as a lesbian and always has, but they were conceived good old-fashioned way. But I think what's really important in this clarification is that amongst all the lies that Tyler has told, one of them is that they were all sperm donation children. He was trying to help a gay couple who wanted to have kids and didn't have money for artificial insemination or to get a surrogate or any of the other avenues. But he was helping and it made him feel good and he was like, great. But only one child was conceived under that context. The other two are unabashedly yo kids. The first one is as well, but do you know what I mean? The context wasn't even that I'm doing this to donate to this lesbian couple who wants kids. The twins, y'all was just fucking, y'all had kids. And he was a present father in all three of those kids' lives until the show began, where he just disappeared off the face of the planet. So yeah, there are some court documents that shows that he went to court to get custody of the first child because the ex-wife was on the birth certificate, just to abandon all of them and act like they're all just sperm babies that he was helping and had nothing to do with, that don't even know what he looks like. I'll get to that in a second. I don't know if this is because I'm on my period, so it might be that. It could be a lot of that. But I want to beat this ass and cry at the same time. Like someone needs to beat that ass. I have a lot of suspicion that he has a breeding kink, that he wants a lot of kids. We'll talk about that later because it does come up. It's already come up a few times on camera where he's like, let's have 7 kids with Ashley. Nah, scary. I just pray. It's been a year since the show is over. I pray that they haven't had any kids, that they're not still together or whatever. I hope she's able to make a clean break and just be away from him. But alas, here we are. So there's the update for that, which is just basically confirming things. And now we can start with episode 10. This is a very solemn feeling. And I feel like by the time we get to like episode 7 of each season, I'm just bummed out. And this is another season in which that is the case. I think there's some silver linings, but it's definitely a rough watch. This episode is called The Text from the Ex. So it's gonna be some bullshit if you needed any clarification on that. So this takes place 12 days before the wedding, yeah? And suddenly Marissa and Ramses are in a tense place, right? Again, because all serious conversation seems to be taken off of camera, I don't fully understand what we're talking about. And I'm just trying to look through constant context clues and reading between the lines and stuff about what's going on. As I understand it, they're in a tense place because she's not in a good mood, doesn't want to have sex because she doesn't feel good, and she's on her period or PMSing or something. Go play with your dick. What the f? That's so gross. That's so gross. She also goes on to talk about how she has a vitamin D deficiency and she's commuting from Baltimore to DC for school, and she's tired. I bet the bitch is. And again, as a bitch that's currently bleeding, he deserves to get cussed out and his head bitten off. That's how I feel. I just feel like that's where I'm at. I know a lot of people, this was actually very funny to me because a lot of people were saying in my first episode, because I said that tentatively Ramses is my favorite, but also that I don't really have favorites anymore because I've been proven wrong so many times that I don't allow myself to feel good things about men on the show. I don't have the energy to be that invested anymore. It's like, it is what it is, it's whatever. And also with the condom thing, I think a lot of people were very triggered by that because it did have those echoes of the boy that just wants to have unprotected sex, and that's definitely there. But I guess what I was coming from when I looked at that scene was again, y'all had been already. Why wasn't this a conversation beforehand? 2, why are you surprised, Pikachu, that kids will happen if you have sex, Ramses, and only you are surprised by it? And the third one, sure, the pleasurability of sex, especially if you're going to be with this person for your entire life, is important. That is not more important than her health and well-being. And you pouting there like, I don't want to use condoms, is indicative of you being a idiot. I think this particular situation where he's like, why won't you cuddle me? Why won't you me? I don't feel loved. When I'm visibly sick, I made it me. When I'm visibly sick, you will get punched in the face. How can you be so goddamn selfish? Which, again, echoes from the conversation that they were having before. And he's like, well, we just have so little time. And I'm like, is this what it's gonna be like? And like, is that something that I can do? Something that you can do? You don't have to worry about it. You can go. If you sit here questioning if you can stomach me being sick and exhausted and don't lead first with empathy about me being sick and exhausted, dude, what the like, what the like, the first thing that came to my mind was like, learn to self-soothe. And I'm not talking masturbation, which could be a part of it. But what I'm talking about is like, if our foundation is so rocky that the concept of us not being all up under each other will destroy whatever we have, then all we had was sex, at least to you. All we had was sex. If you think my love has disappeared because I don't feel like having sex today, then we didn't have love anyway. But that's a breakupable offense. I want to get my nuts off. Like, sure, you're vitamin D deficient and like sick, and I'm sitting here like, oh, do I feel like dealing with that? And I didn't get no pussy. Like, you, nigga. I will say, I don't even want to admit this because I know my boyfriend's gonna watch this and be like, I told you so. But he never liked Ramses. He was like, I told you that light-skinned with dreads got a darkness behind his eyes, which is funny because my boyfriend is a light-skinned with dreads. And then when I told him that, he was like, I don't have just 2. All right, I'll give you that. Okay, I was not invested. I was like, he seemed all right to me. He ain't do nothing yet, but now he's done something. So, like, the fact that I don't want to you today because I'm tired is such an affront to you. You don't feel loved if I don't want to you today. That's a you problem, and I don't feel like dealing with that shit. Go beat your on the moon. I don't give a Alex meets Tim's parents, and they seem nice. Well, the mom seems nice. The dad doesn't really say much. She seems tired. Apparently, they drove 10 hours to have this meeting, so I understand that. But it seems to go well for now. Back with Tyler and Ashley, he's still lying about the kids. Again, he has referred to them as donor children. He lies to her face, saying that he doesn't think that the kids know what he looks like. Mind you, we, as the audience, have seen so many pictures. If you look for them, you can find them. So many pictures of him and them kids. They old enough to know what he looks like and definitely call him daddy. So, and it seems that she's kind of made peace with the fact that he has kids because again, he's lying to her about like how close of a connection they have and how involved he is with the kids. So I'm not surprised. I think they're gonna get married because he's lying to her face. So probably made it into this like benevolent act, you know, he was helping these people in need who just wanted to be parents, and you know, I did this good deed. I'm like, no, a breeding kink, you got problems. You to go somewhere. Okay, Hannah and Nick. I don't know what it is about particularly watching Hannah and Nick that is so triggering to me, but she's getting progressively more demeaning to Nick. Like, she hates that. She speaks down to him, and it's more than disliking the, you know, we talked about like how she wished he were taller or whatever. So this isn't even talking about like his physical attribute or even fully wishing he behaved a different way. I think there's this vitriol, a sort of jealousy even that might be there. And, you know, there's been some discourse about this on the World Wide Webs, and somebody brought up, I wish I remembered who off the top of my head, but someone brought up how some of this heat that she seems to have for Nick isn't all about Nick. I would argue most of it isn't about Nick. I think there is some jealousy that she feels because she was forced to grow up very quickly, quote unquote, because her parents just kicked her out of the house when she was 18. She had to learn how to be financially responsible. She had to do rent. She had to do all these things. And perhaps because of that, she's very rigid and very anxious about adulting. The things that she views as being mature and being an adult, like having car insurance and cleaning the house or whatever. But she has no actual maturity. Like, she has no emotional awareness. She can't tell the way that she talks to people, because I think she's jealous that he had a family that allows him to be there at 28, that allows him to grow up slower, to pace himself, to not have to be anxiously running around with his head cut off. And she berates him for not being mature enough. And sure, there's definitely a lot of evidence to suggest, not from her, but from other people, that he does have some growing up to do. I don't think he's ready to be married for a lot of reasons, but neither is she. And between the two of them, she honestly, I feel like it's a lot of projection of her frustration towards her family, particularly her mother. Because I forgot about this, because last week we were talking about how they met her mother and she was like, calm down, relax. But then I remembered that's the same mom that locked up the cabinet because she thought you were too fat. She's abusive. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is just acting out behaviors like your mother and like misplacing a lot of the frustrations that you feel about having to grow up so quickly on this man who did nothing to you. She act like he killed her dog, robbed her grandma. Like, she don't like, and she talks down to him in a very demeaning and dehumanizing way, like he's a child, like he's her employee, my subordinate, like he's her servant.
Like, have you read?
I haven't had a chance to. Like, maybe last night, instead of going to watch the game, I could have read.
Priorities, right?
Like, it's nasty. It's gross. He says something along the lines of like, I feel like you don't think of me as your equal. And he says it very calmly, very, very like level-headed, just matter-of-factly. I feel like you don't treat me like I'm your equal. And she says, well, I think you get treated like an equal when you start contributing like an equal.
I just want to be treated as an equal.
I think you get treated like an equal when you start contributing like an equal.
Beyond how that is to say to a person that you supposedly love, which she also peppers, I love you so much, Nick, I'm obsessed with you, Nick, while saying these truly gross and arguably some of these are kind of abusive, like the way that she talks to him. And it gets progressively worse. The thing that's really frustrating to me is that she's berating him for just being himself when she didn't have the maturity to pick a person who would be on her equal. Like, you don't have enough trust in yourself to pick a person who would be your equal, and you don't have enough trust in yourself to say, this isn't what I need. And instead of just saying, this isn't what I need, and not berating him, she stays and tries to mold him into a person that she feels is befitting, who he will never be because she doesn't know what she finds befitting. And he's just not that person that she wants either. And I was sitting there confused. I'm like, what does a guy like Nick get from Hannah? I just don't feel like anybody with self-worth would be able to sit here and let somebody talk to them like that and stay in a relationship with them and still want to be married to them. Like, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. What the hell? And my theory is that he liked Hannah because she felt like somebody who could mold him, give him guidance, turn him into a real adult, you know, parent him in a way. And because she's so upfront about everything she can't stand about you, it gives you this false sense that there's something you can do to earn her approval, that she'll be able to give you feedback about what you've done well. And she does in a way. She'll, again, pepper in I love you between saying how she thinks you're dumb. It's an emotionally abusive relationship already. It just is. Break up. Please break up. Okay, again, because we never see any conversations, Ramses and Marissa seem to have made up from whatever the affection thing was that he was up his ass about. I don't like this. So, cause what's starting to piss me off is like, he seems to have these like nebulous doubts, but still says he has none. And I'd rather you just be honest. Just be honest. Like, yeah, I'm having some doubts. And maybe speaking those through, you will quell those doubts. Or maybe speaking those through, you decide that, you know, let's not do this. But again, I don't fully understand where these doubts are coming from because again, either he's just bad at communicating or they've had so many conversations off camera. I don't know what they're talking about. Speaking of not knowing what talking about, Tim sits Alex down and they have a conversation in which he says that he doesn't appreciate that when his parents were over, she took a nap for an hour. As he says it, the parents had driven up to meet her for 10 hours, and when they got there, they chatted for 4 hours, and Alex got tired. She also came after work, after filming, and took a quick nap while I assume they chatted alone. And he seems very upset about that. I am confused. I am confused. I am confused. I am confused. I love a nap. And honestly, if I were him, I would want some time alone with my parents, especially if they drove up 10 hours. I haven't seen them in a while. Like, yeah, you can go take a nap. And then she says what I would have said, hey, if this is a really big thing for you, you have to tell me. I can't read your mind. I'm sorry if it came off to you like that, but I was just exhausted and I get really tired all the time. So like, I'm sorry. Then things starts to get a little heated because then he just starts to kind of like rattle off things that apparently he has been upset about for at least a few days. Basically, he's like, you weren't responsive yesterday on the phone, like text message wise. And she was like, because we were working. How often can y'all text throughout a workday? And also some days you just talk less. It's getting heated. And then he's like, then you chat to me and it felt like you were dictating when we can talk. And no, I don't want to talk now. And I'm like, what is this weird power grab thing? Like, are you trying to have a conversation or not? Like, I'm not going tit for tat with you about when we're chatting on the phone. I don't count how many times you call me and how many times I call you. We're trying to get married. Like, what? It just feels like this strange power grab thing. And then he'll list off other things that he's upset about. He's like, when your parents came, I got up at 8 o'clock in the morning and I grilled for them. And then I still had to do the dishes. Okay, 1, thank you for grilling for my family. 2, did I ask you to grill for my family? 3, you could have asked me to do the dishes. Like, you can articulate what you would like from me.
I cannot read your mind.
Especially if you seem to be like jotting down all these offenses that you have with me. And now, spoiler, this is their breakup conversation. This is him listing off his grievances because he's trying to break up with her. She took a nap. She didn't clean the dishes one time. And decided to text him later in the day instead of during her work day. Then he's like, I've been trying so hard to do the things that you want me to do. I cuddled you yesterday and you didn't even notice. I'm supposed to applaud you for cuddling me? I'm supposed to applaud you for showing me physical affection? Thank you for giving me a hug. Like, what the are you talking about? And I don't know if this is because I'm neurospicy, but the dishes thing is wild to me because I understand. And this also comes up a bit with Hannah as well. Like I don't want to have to ask you to take out the garbage. I don't want to have to ask you to do this. Like, I understand that a lot of times in heteronormative relationships, usually men weaponize incompetence to not do things, right? They feign incompetence to not do things. Like, if I act like I can't do it, then she won't make me do it type energy, which is a thing. I understand that. But as a neurospicy, if I don't see it, like if it's not in my direct eye line and I'm like, oh, I should do that, I'm not gonna do it because I don't see it. So I'm not gonna catch the hint that the dishes need to be done or the trash needs to be taken. Like, I'm not gonna catch it. So I need you to say, hey, while you're walking by, will you mind taking out the garbage for me? Bam. Oh, okay, thanks for the reminder or whatever. The only thing that I do on autopilot at this point is go to the bathroom and feed my dog. Everything else is an active thought for me. ADHD, gang, gang. So when people, I assume, are neurotypical, I don't know, are going like, why should I have to tell you to put things in the dishwasher? Because I don't see it. So I get very frustrated at this notion of like, I need to be like hyper aware of everything, especially if it's like your specific rule book that you think I should just be able to know. I know y'all don't like my astrology rant, some of y'all, but he is a Virgo, all right? And I dated a Virgo just like this. Virgo men, in my experience, have this thing where they feel like if I have to tell you anything about what I want, need, and desire, then you're not the one for me. And it's like, okay, then I'm not, because you're gonna have to tell me. I can't read mind. And to have that expectation of a person is wild to me. Like, making it everyone else's fault that you don't know how to articulate your wants, needs, and desires is wild to me. That you don't know how to advocate for what you want and what you need is wild to me. Why are you surprised that things aren't being done when you don't say nothing? I don't know. Also, the way he dismissed her is so gross to me. I found it very gross. Like, what did we miss? Because he's like, I'm glad that we're on the same page, that I never want to see you again. Because she took a nap and didn't do the dishes. Like, I'm sorry. I'm so confused. What are you so mad about? wouldn't be able to live like this. I'm not going to be on pins and needles like, oh, did I get everything? Did I get everything? If you were like, hey, I would really prefer you to try not to take a nap while my parents are here, I would be confused. But she was saying, like, if you would have told me that, I would have tried to tough it out. I don't understand. And like, I mean, good riddance, because that would have been annoying to be with that every day of your life. I just wish we would have saw that first argument, because that really would have helped, I think. Because he strikes me as the type of that will hold a grudge from the first fight. I don't know. Anyway, they finally have that pod get together where they see the people that they didn't pick. And it was like Great Gatsby theme type thing, which is very cute. I thought that was cute. And, you know, opportunity for people to see like, ooh, who could you have picked instead? But before the get together, Taylor and Garrett have their first like major hiccup, which again happened off camera. We don't know how Taylor finds out about this, whether he just told her or whether something else happened, but his ex reached out to him via DMs, presumably trying to start something up again. We don't know what she says explicitly, whether she was just saying like, hey, I hope you're doing well, or whether or not she was like, let's start over again. We don't know, but an ex reached out and he says that he just saw it and was like, oh, okay, and liked it and went about his day. I doubt it, but okay, that's what he says. I don't know if I believe that. Even like saying that out loud. Apparently he dated her for a very long time. So you see a DM from your longtime ex and you're just like, huh, that you don't feel nothing about it? Nothing. I mean, which is possible, but I'm just like, nothing? He's like, I just forgot it. And she's upset because she's like, that was an opportunity for you to shut that down. And to like it and say nothing feels to me like you're keeping the door open. Again, because this is another argument that's starting off camera, we don't know how it started. We don't know how she found out. We don't know if he was actively hiding it. We don't know what she said. Like, did she say, hey, I really wish I could jump on that and he liked it? That's weird. like, yes, that's weird. Or if she was just saying, hey, I hope you're doing well. Have a great life, and you just like it, I would understand that. Cause like, what the do you want me to say to that? So I was kind of like, I don't know. But Taylor's really upset because she has cheating trauma in the past, and this seems like a situation where he was trying to minimalize something, and that's not good. So the party happens. Tim and Alex come just separate, and they act like the other person is dead, which is what I would do, because like, what? Monica also comes to the event alone. She says she had a conversation with Steven for a few hours and they're cool, but they're not going to date or anything. Water under the bridge, I guess, whatever. Girl, you didn't marry him. That's, you dodged a bullet. Another girl comes in who we don't really see on camera much prior to this, and her name is Katie. And what we can gather is Katie once had a bit of a thing going on with Nick in the pods, but she decided to end things with him for various reasons. And Nick vocalizes to Hannah when she asks that he would be interested in talking to her to just, meet this person, which is a thing that is very normal in this show. It's very, every season we do this. So I don't understand why prize that people have conversations with people in the pods, but okay. Now, Hannah, who we've already seen has some like issues with jealousy, but she frames it as like Nick being disrespectful. It's his fault that I'm feeling this feeling when it's you would have felt it regardless. There's no inward reflection at all, and it's incredibly frustrating to view. Apparently, her best friend is Hannah. Best friend in the whole wide world. Apparently, they were close in the green room, the women's green room. So Katie says, kind of just in passing, like, oh my God, Nick is really nice looking, which seemed innocuous to me. Like, sure, she brings it up, but it's like different conversations where she'll be like, yeah, I told Hannah he's really good looking. So it's not like she's just like, wow, he's so hot. Like, I would him, Hannah, if you don't like, it wasn't that, at least as I read it, I was just like, oh, she's just like, yeah, he's nice looking. So Hannah's starting to feel some type of way about it. And meanwhile, speaking of feeling some type of way, Garrett is chatting with Tyler and Ashley with Taylor next to him, and he starts bringing up the ex contacting him. But when in front of two other people, he says that he replied to her like, hey, I hope you've been well. I have a fiance, yada, yada, yada. We should, let's not talk anymore, which is not what he said an hour ago. An hour ago, he said he just liked it and didn't think about it. and that was it. So that's weird. That's weird. That is very, very weird. But Taylor is like, oh God. And she starts crying. She's breaking down. Ashley, of all people, comes in and she's like, if he's hiding something at all, that's a lot. And I'm like, you nigga hid 3 kids from you and you ain't say boo. That got pop-up kids. I don't know. Whatever. So she's breaking down. And then later, Hannah is talking to Ashley too. Ashley's getting all the tea. About the problems that her and Nick have sexually. Apparently he's very vanilla. He don't like eating. He doesn't keep her pleasure in mind. She kind of refers to him as like someone who's very like immature sexually. Just break up. Like, I'm exhausted. You hate him as a person. He don't eat your. You think he's dumb. Like, I don't know what you want. Just break up. Personally, I don't believe in men who don't eat coochie. I'm all right. I don't date men. Not that I know, because, I've never had my forbidden fruit suckled. But if I did, I don't think I would like a guy who because usually if they don't eat cat, they don't do anything else well either. Like, I only dated one guy outright that didn't eat coochie, and he was a terrible person overall. That's just my rule of thumb. Why are you dating a man that don't eat coochie? You hate him, you think he's dumb, you think he's immature, you think he's short and makes you look masculine or whatever. She was like, oh, I'm scared that I'm bigger than him. And he don't eat girl, hang it up. You're just making yourself miserable, and then you just yelling at him too. Okay, things get even worse about this. Nick and the Katie girl chat for a little bit, and Hannah, I guess because Katie was like, oh, I think he's cute, she's like, I don't know if I can trust her. Jokingly, but not. Nick and Katie have a conversation that is arguably flirtatious. I don't know. I think it depends on the person, because again, I've been told I'm accidentally flirtatious and I'm not flirting. So when he says he's not flirting, I'm inclined to be like, I mean, I get accused of that sometimes. Like, you're so flirtatious. Like, no, I'm just funny and attractive. And the laugh of an angel. Regardless, I don't feel that it crosses the line, me personally. But everyone's up to their opinion in regards to that. But it does bleed into the conversation of why Katie didn't continue on with it. And I think it's important to note that a lot of her grievances of sorts, if you would call it that, are similar to Hannah's. She says, hey, I just feel like you're not quite there maturity-wise.
When it comes to like maturity, I didn't think you were quite there.
I think you're a great person, but you have some growing to do. I'm significantly older than you, so what I'm looking for is different. There's just a qualitative difference. Again, they're technically saying the same thing. Hannah is like, he has a lot he needs to work on. He has a lot maturity-wise that he needs to do. But Katie is saying this in like an encouraging way, like to build him up and to like, yeah, I feel like you just have some growing to do. I think you're a great person. You're a sweet person. I think maybe some of your like flirtatiousness is maybe from a place of insecurity. And I think it would be really beneficial to really explore that.
I think you lead with your charm and your charisma.
Yeah.
Too hard. And I know you are this person that's filled with values. I think you're this person that's filled with a whole heart. Lead with that.
Maybe mend some of that. And I think you're going to be a wonderful husband, but I don't think you're quite ready yet. But Hannah is like, you don't do this, you don't do that, you're too short, you're kind of stupid, you don't know how to boil pasta, why can't you do this? Why don't you know how to do this, Nick? Why don't you know how to do this? What is wrong with you? And it's like, oi, if that's how you talk to people, I can't imagine how you talk to yourself. Like, you must be the worst to yourself. And that's kind of making me tear up a little bit. That's sad, Hannah. Instead of having standards and sticking to those standards and sticking to those boundaries and those expectations for yourself, you decide to date him and berate him and tear him down when you could have just said, this person doesn't meet what I consider standards. She didn't trust herself to pick a person that meets those standards. If you knew what you want, if you were confident in what you wanted, we wouldn't have even gotten this far with Nick. But I think she was so focused in the pods and just how she talks about relationships in general. She's so focused on whether or not she is desirable. And I think that's why she hangs on to Nick, because as she says to everyone around her, I know he's in love with me. He loves me. He loves me. Do you love him actually? Do you love who he is? Or are you just excited to feel loved by somebody? And any slight indication that the veil of desirability that she feels with Nick could be shattered, it's such an ego wound. She's just like, oh. Back to Taylor and Garrett, they're still having a very emotionally charged conversation about them text messages. And I don't like how he handled this. Or, well, how is he supposed to handle it? Because I think he's lying. I do. I think he's lying. But he basically undercuts that she caught him in a lie by saying, I think we're just getting caught up on semantics. Like, it wasn't important to me. But this seems to have really like shaken how she feels about him. And she's like, I don't know. I was so sure about us. And now I'm not 100% anymore. So, ooh. Episode 11. So back to Hannah and Nick. This is after the party. They're back at the apartment. At least how it's edited. Immediately we get into Hannah, I think, trying to articulate that she's hurt or jealous of any interactions that Nick and Katie had. But I don't know. She just has so many fucking defenses that it just turns into more berating him. She's like, do you know how I feel, Nick? I want it to be fun, Hannah, with you, and now I can't be fun. I feel like I have to be so strict around you, and I can't be fun, Hannah, anymore. And like, do you know how I feel, Nick? Nick, Katie came up to me like 5 times talking about how hot you are. Do you know how that makes me feel, Nick? That my bestest friend in the whole wide world was telling me how hot she thinks you are? Like, what am I supposed to do with that, Nick? And he's like, what does that have to do with me? Talk to her. If she's your bestest friend in the whole wide world, talk to her ass about it. I didn't do nothing wrong. And she's like, it's just about respect, Nick. Who didn't respect you? What are you talking about? This keeps escalating because he's like, I've done nothing wrong, and I'm getting chewed out as if I've done something to you, and I haven't. And she's like, it's just about respect, Nick. And it starts to escalate until she says something along the lines of, I turned you from a boy into a fucking man, Nick. I made you.
Are you mature enough, Nick? Because I taught you fucking everything that you know. I turned into a boy into a fucking man.
Bitch, what? You've known him for 3 weeks, ho? What did you make? Made him into a man, he took the garbage out. What the f? What are you talking about? You can go somewhere with all that resentment and anger. And again, she goes on and on about respect, and I don't even think she knows what that means. She feels disrespected because she feels jealous. That's a you problem. What the f? Just because you have negative feelings doesn't mean someone's disrespecting you. That's because it means you have negative feelings. Sometimes negative feelings come up. And then as she keeps talking, he's like, I've done nothing wrong. If you feel like I can't talk to your friend and you don't have all these like horrible feelings about it, then obviously our foundation is f***ed. What do you mean? And I think when she starts to realize that she was in the wrong, instead of apologizing, she does that parent shit like, oh, you want something to eat? And instead of saying that, she says, oh, you look really hot right now. And now suddenly, let's just go to bed, Nick. Let's just go to bed. Girl, f*** you. Apologize. You the one that started berating this as if he did something to you. You the one that flipped the f*** out because another said he was cute. What the f*** got to do with him? And then when I'm like, hey, that's not cool, you're like, I don't want to talk about this anymore, Nick. Let's go to bed. No, you done got me hot. All right, it's 9 days before the wedding, and apparently Garrett and Taylor had a very long conversation, and I guess they worked out whatever was going on with the DM thing. I don't know how they settled that, but they did. And now he's meeting her parents, and that seems to go pretty well. They end up meeting a lot of her family off camera because her parents and family would like to stay more private. Totally reasonable. That makes sense. Tyler is still lying to Ashley, but we knew that already, so they're probably gonna get married. So Hannah is still testing Nick, this time when he meets her friends, who are equally as terrible as she is, by the way. Even before they come out, Hannah says explicitly that he failed the test, whatever the test was that she's testing him with. And he's like open to how things may affect her. So he's like, I'll be more mindful about how I can come off flirtatious, and I'll try to reel that in. And then her friends are like, well, she's not trying to change your personality. And it's like, if he's innately this type of way, then yes, you are trying to change something about his personality. I mean, all she's asking you to do is do like simple stuff. Walk the dog, take out the trash. Just do it. Like, this isn't like hard stuff. Again, I am looking at this from a neurospicy lens. I don't know about y'all. It is not very easy to immediately change your day-to-day just because a new person is in your life, especially when you met them 3 weeks ago, okay? How your routine of your day goes is different. Why she's upset at him for not walking the dog when you don't have a job. You could go walk the dog. I don't understand. And also all of this shit about how he has to change, and she ain't changed shit. She has not become more emotionally mature, more mature generally. She's still pushy. She's still critical. She's still patronizing. She hasn't changed shit. This isn't like she's treating it as if he's doing like multiple level interviews to marry her, like to get the job of marrying her. F you and this job and your friends. All y'all. Big head. After this, she's like, she feels so powerfully about how he met her friends that she calls off going to the stupid dress fitting suit thing and decides to have a conversation with him to break up. Thank God. Finally, like, stop dragging it. You don't like him fundamentally as a person. If everything that's going on is triggering you that bad, just call it. She handles it much in the way that she's handled every thing with him. She handles it cold like a board meeting. She brings out pen and paper. She lists off her issues with her fingers. You know, I still have these 5 issues, Nick. She makes it sound like he was on like a performance review, like he was on probation. Demeaning, degrading, demoralizing, just like tick, 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 tick. You have every right to say that this relationship or this person isn't your person. That's fine. To sit there and just tick, 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 it's just very triggering. But I think, you know, all things considered, I think it's for the best. I think this would have been 2 people that just slowly erode themselves and each other, had a foundation of being very, very abusive and toxic, especially because Hannah doesn't see anything wrong with how she handled anything in this relationship. So good riddance. Like, oh, thank God. And this episode ends with Ramses and Marissa suddenly not on the same page again. They had gotten back on the same page. You know, they did the dress fitting, they did the suit fitting, yada, yada, yada. It was like, oh man, I'm just so in love. I can't wait to marry my person. And now suddenly he's like, this is just a lot. It's just so much. It's just a lot. Apparently he talked to some loved ones. I think it was his brother and the brother's baby mama or something. I don't know. He talked to his brother though. And suddenly he's doubting everything. As per usual, we don't see what started this. We don't hear that conversation that he had. But all of a sudden, he's too scared to take the plunge. And I don't know what the they told him, but that's where the episode ends. Episode 12, we're continuing on with that conversation, and come to find out, this is actually a breakup conversation between Marissa and Ramses. The only thing I get out of what his conversation was with the brother was that he learned that his ex-wife had taken their breakup a lot harder than he realized. And learning that makes him so scared that he could possibly hurt Marissa like that. And then she's like, what? Because that doesn't make any sense. Do you think breaking up with me right now wouldn't hurt me? You're hurting me to avoid hurting me? Like, what? And then when that doesn't seem to land, he's like, I don't know, it's just our energies like in the same space. Like sometimes I feel a little overwhelmed, you know? I said this the first episode. Me and Marissa wouldn't get along. She's probably a sweet girl, but she's very, very hyper. Yeah. That is the only thing you can really notice about her in the pods. But again, look at me. Camera wasn't focusing. But again, because I don't know what y'all went in the pods for. Like, what were y'all looking at? What were you asking yourself about? But suddenly, that energy is too much. It's overwhelming. You know, now that we got the outside noise with work and living together and yada, yada, it's just too much. I'm overwhelmed. And it's not you. It's just, you know, it's me. And she's like, you're not unique. Guys always like me the first few months, and then, you know, the energy is too much suddenly, you know, which is also confusing because she's not hype every day. Some days she's on her period and she has a vitamin D deficiency. She ain't gonna be like that every day, so that ain't the reason why either, I feel like. But from what I gather, he just don't like living with her, and it's really because again, y'all just did the fitting. Y'all just signed a marriage license and trying on suits and shit. You know, your parents coming to the thingy. And then she start crying. And again, I was never a huge Marissa fan, not because she's a bad person per se, but just because, you know, the energy is a lot for me. And I've, you know, whatever. But I felt so bad for that girl because she ain't deserve that. Like, what the f? She's like crying and sobbing, and she's like, how? You were so sure 2 days ago, and now suddenly I can't do this. What happened? What happened that made you so unsure, other than you talking to your brother and you found out that your ex-wife had a rough time after you got a divorce? It's a divorce. That's common. But like, what the mean? And then she's like crying and sobbing. She gets weak in the knees, and he's there to hold her. Is he wearing a red thong? The cameraman is just to show us that. I was very confused. I was like, this is a very serious moment. Is he wearing panties? No judgment. I think there's other things to judge him about in this, but I am confused. But he had for that, not for the panty thing, for the how he broke up with her, because it's like, I'd just rather you be honest. Like, I don't want to marry you. I mean, I guess that was what he was saying, but I don't know. Maybe there is no good way to break up with people, but I still call him a for that, because I feel like you knew a long time ago, but you just wanted to be on the show longer or something. I don't know. I don't like it. And the rest of the episode is the weddings and the stupid ass bachelorette thing. And considering there's only two weddings left, pretty short. Tyler and Ashley, they get married. Yay. And beforehand, I think he was talking to one of his best men or one of his groomsmen or whatever, and he was talking about how they want to get on having a baby very soon. I bet you do. Breeding kink weirdo. And then Garrett and Taylor get married too. I guess that's a yay if he ain't cheating on you. The fact that the best couple that made it still had a cheating scare is wild. Also, during Tyler and Ashley, he like talks to his mom or whatever. And what's wild, because she a bitch too. His mama a bitch too, because she deleted her photos of them kids that he got when he got on the show. So she was in cahoots. You were a collaborator. You also a real skeezy ass weirdo. But yeah, that's the season. I'm bummed. And the reunion comes out next week. And y'all got a lot of questions to answer. There's a lot. I got a lot that I need to know, because what was any of that? But yeah, that's all for today, folks. If you like this video, like it or whatever. Let me know how you felt at this point of the season. Do you feel vindicated? Do you feel disappointed? Do you feel happy about the things that have happened this season, as far as like people breaking up or people staying together or whatever? What do you think will happen at the reunion? I have questions. You have answers, maybe. You have predictions. And with that said, I'll see you guys next week, or this week, probably by the time you see this video. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.